All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're going to try something a little different. We're going to take a look at the career of Taylor Swift.
Oh, wow.
And you would be surprised at how much is actually on here.
I bet.
Beyond, just the headlines.
Yeah.
So much to discover about her impact on, the music industry and pop culture as a whole.
Yeah, you often hear artists described as business savvy, but with Taylor Swift, it's like next level. I mean, she's basically disrupted the music industry multiple times.
Right.
Throughout her career.
Yeah, and it's funny, when I was reading through this, I saw that back in 2009, Taylor Swift became the first country artist to ever win an MTV Video Music Award. Isn't that interesting?
It is.
To think about, that moment sort of foreshadowed her later success in crossing over from, country darling to, full-blown pop icon.
Absolutely. That award for You Belong With Me was definitely a sign of things to come. It's not just about the award itself, it's what it represents.
Yeah.
The appeal to a much broader audience beyond just the traditional country music fan base.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to sort of trace how she's strategically transitioned between genres, right?
Yeah.
Embracing pop with albums like 1989 and later exploring indie folk with Folklore and Evermore.
Yeah, and she did it all while maintaining this really distinct songwriting style, which is not easy to do.
No, not easy at all.
And speaking of those genre shifts, and the fans loved it. I mean, those recordings were massively successful.
Oh, yeah.
But what I find even more impressive is her songwriting. She's won a Grammy for Safe and Sound from the Hunger Games soundtrack. That shows she can write hits.
Absolutely.
Even beyond her own albums.
Yeah.
And let's be real, her collaborations talk about some big names.
It's huge.
John Mayer, Boys Like Girls, B.O.B., even Tim McGraw early on.
Yeah, her collaborations are interesting because they highlight all these different facets of her musicality.
Right.
But what's really fascinating is that even her earliest songs, like Teardrops on My Guitar, they had this raw emotional honesty that just resonated with listeners.
Yeah.
And as she's grown as a songwriter, that core element has remained. She's just gotten better at weaving those personal experiences into more complex and layered narratives.
Yeah, you can definitely see a progression in her songwriting.
Oh, for sure.
From straightforward storytelling to more poetic and metaphorical language. It's like she's constantly refining her craft. And then there's the spectacle of it all.
Oh, yeah.
The record-breaking tours.
Unbelievable.
Especially the Eras Tour, which became the highest grossing tour of all time.
I mean, the Eras Tour wasn't just about the music, it was about the experience. It was like a celebration of her entire career.
Yes.
Carefully curated to resonate with all the different segments of her fan base.
So smart.
The sheer scale of it, the demand for tickets, even the controversy surrounding Ticketmaster. It all points to this immense cultural power she wields.
It does. That whole Ticketmaster thing, really exposed some issues within the ticketing industry, I think.
Oh, for sure.
And it all stemmed from this, incredible demand to see her live.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think that level of fan engagement was always there, or did it evolve alongside her career?
I think it's a bit of both. She definitely cultivated a strong connection with her fan base from the very beginning, but it's definitely grown, right? More potent over time. And it's interesting to note how she's leveraged social media, to create a sense of intimacy and community amongst her fans. The Swifties, as they're called.
The Swifties, I love that. It's so smart. She's essentially built this loyal following that goes way beyond, just fans of her music.
Oh, yeah.
They're invested in her as a person, her story, her causes.
Right.
And speaking of which, we can't ignore her ventures beyond music, her directorial debut with All Too Well, the short film, her philanthropic work, her outspokenness on social issues like LGBTQ+ rights, even donating, a significant amount to fight anti-LGBTQ+ legislation in Tennessee. It's a lot to unpack.
It is. What strikes me is that her advocacy isn't just performative. She puts her money where her mouth is. She uses her platform to amplify marginalized voices, and she actively engages in political discourse. I mean, it's a far cry from the image of, a simple pop star.
Yeah, right. She's challenging that stereotype of what a pop star can be and what they can use their influence for. It almost makes you wonder.
Wonder what?
Well, with her outspokenness, her massive platform, her ability to mobilize fans, could we potentially see Taylor Swift take on a more formal role in politics someday? I mean, it wouldn't be the most surprising plot twist in her career, would it?
Now, that's a thought-provoking question. We know she's not afraid to break boundaries and challenge the status quo.
Right.
And she's already proven to be incredibly effective at using her platform to advocate for causes she believes in. So the possibility is certainly intriguing, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But even without a political career, I mean, her impact is undeniable. 14 Grammys, countless other accolades, recognized as Time's 2023 Person of the Year. I mean, she's broken more records than we can count. For instance, she's the only artist ever to have 7 albums each sell over 1 million copies in a single week.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It's more than just commercial success, though. Her songwriting resonates with a wide audience because she taps into universal emotions and experiences. Love, heartbreak, growing up, finding your voice. It's personal, yet relatable. And that's a rare gift.
It's true. Even when she's singing about very specific situations, there's something about her music that makes you feel like she's singing about your life, your feelings.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another aspect of her career that's often overshadowed by the glitz and glamour.
You mean her business acumen?
Exactly. Her impact on the music industry goes way beyond songwriting and performing. She's a master strategist, a savvy negotiator, and a pioneer in artist empowerment.
And I think that's where we'll pick up in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Because there's a whole other side to Taylor Swift that deserves exploration. A side that reveals just how much she's changed the game for artists and the industry as a whole.
I can't wait to dive into that.
Stay tuned because we're just getting started.
When we talk about Taylor Swift's business acumen, it's not just about her wealth, it's about how she's achieved it.
Right.
You know, she hasn't just played the music industry game,
Right.
she's redefined it.
What's so fascinating is how she seems to be playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Like, take for instance that monumental deal she struck with Universal Music Group back in 2018.
Oh, yeah.
There was a provision in there that allowed her to retain ownership of her masters
Huge.
that sent shockwaves through the industry.
Absolutely. That deal wasn't just a personal victory, it was a paradigm shift. It demonstrated that artists with enough leverage could actually negotiate for better terms. You know,
Yeah.
a real departure from the industry's traditional power dynamic.
It's remarkable how she's used her success to empower other artists and to kind of challenge that status quo.
Yeah.
And remember, she didn't have to re-record those first 6 albums.
Right.
She could have just walked away with a hefty payout.
Absolutely.
But she understood the bigger picture, the principle of artistic ownership and control.
And think about the ripple effect of that decision. I mean, it's inspired countless other artists to fight for their rights and to seek better deals. You know, she's become a symbol of artist empowerment, not just through her words, but through her actions.
Okay, so let's rewind for a second and talk about those re-recordings.
Okay.
Imagine the sheer audacity of it.
Okay.
Re-recording all of your old hits, not just to like make a statement, but to actually make it a commercial success.
It's amazing.
It's almost like a music industry heist.
Right?
Except it was completely legal and brilliant.
It was a calculated risk that paid off spectacularly. Not only did she regain ownership of her music, but she also connected with her fans on a deeper level.
Yeah.
You know, those Taylor's version albums weren't just re-releases. They were a chance for fans to relive the nostalgia while supporting her fight for artistic freedom.
It speaks to the fierce loyalty of her fan base, the Swifties, as they call themselves.
The Swifties.
They're not just passive listeners, they're
Right.
active participants in her story.
And she understands that, you know, she's cultivated that connection through social media, through meet and greets, through those little Easter eggs she plants for her fans to discover, you know, it's a reciprocal relationship built on mutual respect and admiration.
It makes you wonder, is that kind of passionate fandom something that you can manufacture, or is it a matter of being in the right place at the right time and, you know, capturing the zeitgeist with your music?
It's probably a bit of both. You need the talent, the charisma, the right sound to connect with people,
Yeah.
but then you also need the savvy to cultivate that connection, to nurture it. And Taylor Swift has excelled at that, you know, turning casual listeners into die-hard fans.
Speaking of savviness, let's talk about how she's disrupted the concept of a concert tour.
Okay.
The Eras Tour wasn't just a concert, it was an immersive experience. It was a celebration of her entire career, and the demand was unprecedented. It led to that whole Ticketmaster controversy.
The Eras Tour was a masterclass in fan engagement. You know, it was a love letter to her fan base, acknowledging their journey alongside her. And it wasn't just about performing her hits. It was about creating a shared experience, a collective memory.
It's interesting how she seems to anticipate what her fans want even before they know it themselves.
Yeah.
Like when she surprised everyone by deleting all of her social media posts
Oh,
for
yeah.
releasing Reputation,
Genius.
that was marketing genius.
Pure brilliance. It generated so much buzz and anticipation because it was so unexpected. You know, she understood the power of mystery, of leaving people wanting more. And in an age of information overload, she created a void, and everyone rushed to fill it.
Okay, so she's a brilliant songwriter, a savvy businesswoman, a captivating performer, and a master marketer. Is there anything this woman can't do?
Well, let's not forget her ventures outside of music. You know, she dipped her toes into acting early in her career
Oh, yeah.
with roles in Hannah Montana, the movie and Valentine's Day, even lending her voice to the Lorax.
That's right.
And then there's her directorial debut with All Too Well, the short film. You know, it seems like she's always up for trying new things, pushing herself creatively.
It's true. It's almost as if she has this insatiable curiosity, this drive to explore different mediums and express herself in new ways. It's inspiring, really, and it makes you wonder what's next for her. What other boundaries is she going to break?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, think about it. She's already achieved a level of success that most artists only dream of. She's won every award imaginable, breaking countless records, and built a global empire. Where do you go from there?
I guess you keep pushing, keep evolving, keep challenging yourself. I mean, she's never been one to rest on her laurels.
Right.
And she's still relatively young, which means she has plenty of time to reinvent herself and surprise us all over again.
And that's what makes her so fascinating. You know, we're witnessing a career unfold in real time, a story that's still being written. It's a reminder that even when you reach the top, there's always more to learn, more to explore, more to achieve.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to shift gears a bit and explore another facet of Taylor Swift's impact. Her influence on culture and society as a whole, because as we've seen, she's much more than just a pop star.
Absolutely. Her influence extends far beyond the realm of music. You know, she's a cultural icon, a role model, and a voice for her generation. And that's something worth delving into.
So let's dive in. When we think about cultural impact, Taylor Swift might not be the first name that comes to mind,
Yeah.
but maybe she should be.
You know, she's often underestimated in that regard. People tend to focus on the catchy tunes and the celebrity gossip.
Right.
But beneath the surface, there's a depth and complexity to her work that's undeniable.
It's true. I was blown away when I learned that universities are offering courses on Taylor Swift.
Wow.
Like they're analyzing her lyrics, her music videos, her impact on society. It's like she's become a legitimate subject of academic study.
It speaks to the cultural significance of her work. You know?
Yeah.
It's not just pop music, it's social commentary, it's storytelling, it's a reflection of the times we live in, and academics are recognizing that.
It's like she's tapped into something universal, something that resonates across generations and cultural boundaries. I mean, even music legends like Dolly Parton, Billy Joel, Elton John have praised her talent and influence.
Yeah, those endorsements carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
These are artists who've witnessed the evolution of music over decades, and they see something special in Taylor Swift.
Right.
They recognize her as a torchbearer, someone who's carrying the legacy of great songwriting into the future.
And she's doing it on her own terms. She's not afraid to experiment, to push boundaries, to challenge the conventions of the pop music genre.
Right.
Look at her recent albums, Midnights and the Tortured Poets Department.
Yeah.
They're a departure from her earlier work.
For sure.
More introspective, more experimental.
She's not content to just churn out the same formulaic pop hits, you know?
You're right.
She's constantly evolving as an artist, exploring new sounds, new themes, new ways of expressing herself. And that creative restlessness is what keeps her music fresh and exciting.
And it sets a powerful example for other artists.
Oh, absolutely.
She's showing them that it's okay to take risks, to evolve, to defy expectations, and that authenticity is ultimately what connects with audiences on a deeper level.
It's about being true to yourself, to your vision, to your voice.
Yeah.
And that's a message that resonates far beyond the music industry.
Right.
It's a message that empowers young people, especially young women, to embrace their individuality and pursue their passions.
It's inspiring to see how she's used her platform to advocate for causes she believes in.
Yeah.
Whether it's LGBTQ plus rights, gender equality, or political activism. She's not just singing about these issues, she's actively engaging in the conversation, using her influence to make a difference.
And she's doing it in a way that's both impactful and relatable.
Yeah.
She's not preaching from a pedestal.
Right.
She's sharing her own experiences, her own struggles, her own own journey. And that vulnerability is what makes her message so powerful.
It's like she's saying it's okay to be yourself, to speak your truth, to fight for what you believe in.
Yeah.
And that's a message that the world needs to hear, especially in these times.
It's a message of hope, of resilience, of empowerment. And it's a message that's resonating with millions of people around the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Taylor Swift, what are your final thoughts on her lasting legacy?
Okay.
How will she be remembered not just as a musician, but as a cultural force?
I think she'll be remembered as a trailblazer. Someone who redefined what it means to be a pop star in the 21st century. You know, she's a talented songwriter, a savvy businesswoman, a captivating performer, and a fearless advocate. But most importantly, she's an authentic voice, a role model for a generation that's yearning for connection and meaning.
Well said, and I think that's the perfect note to end on. This deep dive has been an incredible journey, full of surprises and insights, and
It's a testament to the power of music, of storytelling, of one person's ability to make a difference in the world. Taylor Swift's story is far from over, but even now her impact is undeniable.
Well, thanks for joining us on this fascinating exploration. Until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning, and keep questioning.